So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in any part of the world. You're listening to our 47th episode, and today we have a special guest coming on. And after a long time, I feel, we have a male gender, like from the male gender, which I'm pretty excited about to have. That's the divine masculine coming in through, and it was introduced to us. He was introduced to us through our mutual friend and coach and voice coach, Wendy Corner. So a special thanks to Wendy for the introduction. If it's your first time listening, I'm Kirtideva Peruman. I'm the cosmic guide at the Hero's Mystic, where we help you to slay your inner demons and become your true hero of your life. And also, I'm like every single week, I'm accompanied by my co-host from, not far away, like just 8 hours of flight from a neighboring country, I would say, right?
Neighboring country. That's a good
Yeah,
one.
neighboring country, Tina Marie, and she's a busy mom with 4 boys, but she loved it. She enjoyed, especially this weekend, she enjoyed it, having those teenage
Rocked it
boys.
this week.
And she's a love coach, a self-love coach, and also an intuitive guide for women. And today we have a special guest. His name is Jacob. He's a multi-dimensional being, like he calls himself. He's calm, grounded, and present. He's very aware of his humanness and his soul expression being in harmony, the joy in all life and blessings, growth, and choices that support his conscious evolution. He's very in touch with the innate nature within and nature's natural rhythm. He creates a space for you to connect with this within yourself through his offering of podcast, conscious art, multi-authored books, earth healing excursions, and healing sessions. So he normally talks about our frequency, and how we are expressing has a ripple effect in the field, our field, and the collective. So it's imperative to have the tools and that assist us to create a life led by the heart and to be one with unity consciousness. So I feel that today we are going to explore the field with Jacob. So welcome, Jacob, to our show. I would say, our virtual couch. Welcome to our field. So can you tell us a bit more about the field and the collective consciousness, like you call it?
Sure. Thank you for having me. It's really beautiful to be here with you all and allow this to just flow and see where it takes us. It's a nice organic coming together, and I feel that is part of how the field is. When we come into life like children, we absorb everything, and for me, that's a constant through life. That whole absorption of everything, feeling energies flowing in, flowing out. And for me, it's just about coming back to myself and just checking in where my expression is coming from, but not getting caught up in any wrongness or even being right or anything, just to flow with it and observe and see, where am I creating from? What's driving this thought? What's driving this feeling? What am I passionate about? All these kind of things, for me, questions are super empowering from a very young age. I asked a lot of questions and it wasn't necessarily received well because I questioned, a lot of standard things in life because I didn't really get them or I didn't know why and things like that. So, I got told off, let's say, and but it's never really stopped me. I've questioned things all my life. And some years ago, let's say around 15 years ago, I had a shift in my awareness and I opened myself to a more conscious way of living, even though I feel wherever we're at, we're still living consciously. There's a conscious expression constantly happening, just that we're not conscious of it as such. And questions is what brought me onto this path and feeds me to this very day, constantly inquiring, self-inquiry, inquiring, what has this experience shown me that I'm not getting, or, just invitational of all sorts of ways of expressing and moving through life.
Sounds like me every time I call Dava and go, am I missing the point? What am I supposed to be getting out of this experience? And it's normally to do with raising four boys and them moving through their own unique self-expression, which sometimes I kind of go, okay, this is your path, and I have to just stand back and not associate guilt or frustration or anything else with it because it is theirs and theirs alone. I think once I had a coach of mine say to me, Tina, there's nothing you can do to mess up their experience. It's playing out exactly how it's meant to play out. And it's an interesting concept for parents to take on board because we take on such a mass amount of responsibility, because people have a very odd way, I think, sometimes of looking at raising children, that they are an expression of their parents and they're an expression of the family, and that, anytime that their behavior goes sideways, it's an expression of how you've parented as a person, but nothing to do with how they are moving through life themselves as humans. But for you, that period you were talking about 15 years ago, when you said that you kind of had a slap up the backside of the head and a little bit of a wake-up call, were you in familiar surroundings? Was it, someone that said something to you? What was the catalyst for you in terms of your awakening? I know mine was moving through a divorce, but, for everybody it's a little bit different.
Yes, yeah, it is. I mean, often it is something we see as like a tragedy or whatever, and a very emotional event, let's say. So for me, it was one of my best friends passing away. I was at a place where I was starting to not enjoy my life, the drinking. I was kind of sick of partying, smoking weed, hanging around with the same people. And for some years prior, I did move. Like I was like, I just in this and I can't get out of it. So I'm just going to move town and start fresh. And instantly I just meet the same people doing the same thing. Even if I was just walking on the street in the middle of the day, it would just come back to me again. And yeah, as I was asking those questions around, what can I do, and what I was noticing in myself, family and friends became really important into my field. So I started to think about my hometown, Timaru, and moving back there. But I wasn't aware that family and friends and all that was my soul family and that kind of connection. So I looked at moving to Timaru, and then Rangi passed away 2 weeks before Christmas when I was going to come down, and I was going to stay with him and his family and explore being here. So I was in Wellington, which is in the North Island of New Zealand, and went back to work. And yeah, I kind of, I grieved a lot, but I just kind of carried on. And then one day I just really lost it at my boss. My boss was difficult at times, and I reacted this day and got a bit of a shock at how I spoke to him. And then just bawled. It just went into a heap, and I bawled my eyes out for 2 or 3 hours. And someone found me. They thought I'd actually gone home. And then I walked home and I just said, okay, what's life about and what am I going to do about this? And straight away, I just invited these new possibilities. So, yeah, I had a really beautiful start, with this world that I wasn't aware of, even though I was in it my whole life. When I reflected back, I thought things I did were normal for everyone. We're very psychic driven and we were out there. And so, I always had those abilities, but, they got shut down as well, shut down. And so, yeah, I mean, the very start, I explored a few things, and I ended up going to a retreat center and getting a clairvoyant reading. Originally, I didn't go. I booked, and then I freaked out, and then I went a few weeks later. And there was actually, I had a feeling that I was going to meet a young lady who was foreign, and I gave a lady a ride home who was foreign and petite. I remember that part. And she was, but there was something like different. So when I went back 2 weeks, when I went in 2 weeks' time, I had this reading, and then after that, I went back another time, and they were like, "Why has he come back?" And then they realised that that time I cancelled, this woman, Jess, was there, and she was there the second time I went, and we needed to meet, and we really helped each other on our journey. You know, we had an amazing, and I was the first person to receive a full Reiki session from her, and it was the first Reiki session I'd ever received. So we had that connection through that, and then the things that happened after that were very special, that I can share or not. We can, yeah, how you feel.
Sorry, it'd be interesting because, like you said, we each have skills and abilities that we just do. We don't think that they're anything abnormal, but if you happen to mention it to other people, like, oh yeah, I can talk to my dead grandmother, and I know when things are coming because I get told things are coming. It, you know, everybody has it, but like you said, people choose to either listen to it or shut the roller door down and go, nah, I don't want to know about that. So how does it come through for you? Is it a visual thing? Is it an auditory thing? Do you have lucid dreams? How does it work in your world?
For me, it's mostly a clear knowing, and I often say, oh, I heard this sentence, or I was told this thing, but actually I don't hear anything. But that's how it feels, you know. It's just there, you know. It's like this strong, clear knowing, and I am very visual as well, and I have stages where my visuals are super strong, and other times when they're not so strong. But for the most part, it's just a gut feeling that, or just yeah, and even times when I get asked or told to go somewhere and I have no idea why, it's still a clear knowing. Still like, oh yeah, I just need to go there. You know, I don't know why or what's going to happen, but let's just trust that, and whatever happens, happens, and that's always, yeah, incredible. It's always beautiful and supportive.
Like, because last time I actually met him in person, lucky me.
Lucky duck.
Yeah, and you were like when Tina was asking the question, because I had the opportunity to witness like how you channel, like I call it channeling, where you invite spirit in and you just allow it to come. So do you have like any advice for people who are like, they know they have the gift, like on your journey, you had the gift all along, but it's like, I'm refusing to accept it. Do you have any advice for people to really let go and allow spirit in?
I feel it's just that openness, you know. I feel it's, yeah, different for everyone. So it just depends on their upbringing and what they're here to work through, and what kind of things are still in our field, you know, because for me, doubt is huge. It's been one of the biggest ones that I've worked through, and it still can present itself. Because as we raise our frequency, I believe we come to a frequency. Like, for instance, some people say, oh, I'm feeling this certain way and I haven't felt this for like 2 years. I'm back here again. And I would say, no, you're not back here again. You've come to a frequency where you haven't worked on that. So you're actually always on your journey, and you've cleared it in this area and on this frequency. And now you've come to a new higher frequency, and it's presented itself to be cleared. And so it's a blessing that's shown you on your path. So that's what I find. It depends on what's in our field and what we've come here to learn and clear. So, you know, I also do a lot of ancestral clearing and certain lineages and earth clearing. So there's certain things around working with those things that present themselves through my journey of stepping it forward or not, you know. And, the doubt comes from a lot of past lives, you know, as a different kind of person, as a expression of a different kind. We often have experienced traumatic lives, you know. One that came up in a past life was back in the Middle Ages. I was in Morocco and I was a transvestite in the Middle Ages. And yeah, I was the only transvestite. So I was really put out there on my own, and really I lived the life I died on the street alone. I actually died at 44, which is quite an old age for the Middle Ages. Um, but yeah, that's just a classic example of showing when we step out of the norm, we have these things held in our field until we work through them and clear them. And it's not you have to go back into that life and feel those traumas, but just to be open to go, okay, well, that doesn't serve me anymore, having this in my field. And just being open, the right people will come into your world and give you a healing or say something. Nowadays, we're so supported with the energy. So we can shift through things very fast. So it's just having that openness, just inquiring and knowing your higher self is always there. You've got a team, a guardian team. I have many teams that support me, and they always want to support, but they can't support if we don't ask, if we don't connect in and offer them that invitation to come in and help us. And that's another thing as well, that whole receiving, am I worthy of receiving? Do I believe I could have an amazing life? All these kind of things, I've journeyed through all of these as well. So, yeah.
Don't you sit there and smile at me, Curly Daver. I'm watching your face. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, my co-host is sitting here grinning like a Cheshire cat because everything that Jacob has just said, we've had these conversations many, many, many times over. So he's going, see, told you. He's just getting confirmation again today and again and again.
Yeah, I feel like Jacob is like nailing it, and you're feeling like we are both feeling it, like we are all feeling it.
Yeah.
And if people are not getting like about frequency, like just imagine like a radio station and you have different frequencies that you can listen to, like your favorite radio show. So if you want to connect to abundance, for example, you connect on that frequency and you explain, like when you explain about openness and allowing, like for you, like I know I asked you that before, but for our audience, like how can you suggest that people allow and invite that spirit in and whatever they are open to?
I would say you could explore ways of finding signs to get some kind of confirmation, because for me, allowance is quite easy. I can really, like, I'm not say someone says, oh, you should learn Reiki. And I go, okay, Reiki, what's that? And I feel into it and I go, oh, yeah, that resonates. And then I don't need to look at what Reiki is, and then I just trust that the teacher will show. So I'm just in allowance for it all, and sometimes it would be good if I explored a bit more because then I have more information to share with someone about it rather than, yeah, just say yes, it was good. So yeah, asking for signs, I think, is a good way because signs are always around us. I would say I'm very aware, and there'll be heaps that I don't see. So they're constantly presenting themselves, and that's a way of getting some confirmation on, okay, if I want to know that I'm on my path or feel to leave my job or go to this place or something like that, give me a sign, and maybe even invoke something. Say, okay, I need to see a certain thing and just be open. And the thing is with that is to not hold on to it really tight. It's like what I've realized, I can ask for assistance. But when I really struggle with something and I just give it up to the cosmos, creator, source, divine, God, however you wish to relate to it, you really do need to give it up. When you say, I'm not coping and I'm not able to find the direction in this and I'm just going to give it to you, you sort it out. You do have to really surrender to allow that to come through. And there's some more light bulb moments where you guys shared about that.
No,
Yes,
well,
please
no,
go.
it's the word, right? Because David will send me that Frozen song, Let It Go. So it's all about having to surrender and let things go. But for you, you know how you're talking about when it's a feeling that you get. Is it like a heightened state, or is it just an overall calmness in terms of what's your gut feeling feel like? Because, you know, for some people, it's how they interpret that feeling is very different for people. I know what mine is a very calm feeling within my gut. I know if my gut's heightened and it feels all energetic and kind of champagne bubbles, shall we say, it's normally the energy of somebody else that's inspiring me and firing me up, and it's not exactly mine. I'm just feeling the energy that they are putting out. So I've had to learn to decipher what my yes feels like versus someone else's yes that's washing over me.
Yeah, yeah, I resonate with that. Um, I feel for me it has changed over the journey. So, you know, at the start when I started opening up, all the things were heightened. So, you know, the lows were really woof and the highs were way, you know, and when you had these feelings, you really, oh yeah, 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 okay, I'm off, you know, I really know too. And now, yeah, and I'm at a place where it's more neutral and it does still feel different at times. I find it's for me, it's about being really in touch with my body. So my body is the temple that my soul resides in. So caring for my physical body is a really important part of the journey of ascension because ascension happens through the body, and you know they're all it's important. We're here on Earth in this human body, and it's is very important. It's not about being this cosmic galactic being, and that's it. You don't have to care about your body. So you know the body speaks all the time. So for me, it is a real body feeling. And I use my body as a pendulum as well with certain things like food at times or whatever. I hold it to my heart. Forward motion is a yes, back motion is a no, or it could be quite neutral. So then I might change the question, or it's more like, oh, it's a, whatever, you know, it's actually not harmful or not a yes or no. It's just like if you want to have it and things like that. So I've found, yeah, the more I've worked through my densities held in the body, the more neutrality I have with feeling. So often, like recently, I had this feeling of movement and it was really strong. It was really excitable energy. Within that, I was still pretty calm. So I just, yeah, I felt it at a bit more of an excitement kind of state but within myself because it was just presenting the energy, like you're saying, picking up on someone else's energy, even, you know. So it's just like, okay, and how do I feel about that? Yeah, I feel, okay, movement's cooling. And whatever movement looks like, maybe I don't know. Maybe it could be movement within my own conscious expression. It could be a physical movement. It could be a job. It could be leaving a partner or someone's presenting themselves if you're single. You know, there's many ways, and you can spend as much time going into those as you wish. You know, like we say, there's with your children. You know, there's no wrongness. It's all there for you. You know, and you don't miss anything. It's just an opportunity was presented, and you didn't recognize it, or you didn't say yes. It doesn't mean it's not going to be for you another time and things. So
Doesn't
yeah,
mean it won't come back around like fashion. It's all cyclic. Right, it all comes back and you get another opportunity to, like you say, work through the density or whatever learning that you need to take away from it. In terms of physical movement, because both David and I are, you know, gym heads and we like to run. He also likes to jump on a bike. That's not my jam, but what's your jam in terms of, you know, physical movement or physical expression? How does that work for you?
So more so now it's about qigong, bit of yoga, nature, so walking in nature, um, yeah, working with the light language and energy, so using my body to move the energy with also my voice. Um, Sometimes, yeah, it's mountain running. Used to be snow skiing. I used to chase winters. It does change as well, I find. But yeah, for me, it's really about having a good practice every morning and also something in the evening as well, just to clean my field, clear my energy, put myself in a good space, know that everything that's in my energy is mine, and pull myself back and clear the body. So there's different ways of doing those things. Yeah.
And how do you like to do that in the evening? Is it, ice plunges and saunas, or is it yoga, or what's your way of moving through that? Because everybody go, how does he clear his energy? What does he do? So if we have curious cats who are listeners for the podcast, so they would like to know.
Yeah, so in the evening I'm not as active. So, I might do some qigong kind of tai chi movement. They're more intuitive. I have practice and taught qigong, but yeah, in the evenings I'm more in a feeling mode, whereas in the mornings there's more of a discipline that I follow, which I see discipline as a very supportive word. Some people go, discipline, but and I used to feel that way as well, I must say, with it. Um so yeah, in the evenings, and I also do some energetic setting of my field. So I kind of put myself in a container. I don't believe in putting myself in a bubble of light and not allowing things to come in. That just doesn't resonate with me. But for someone else, it may do. It's not. Again, it's just finding out what's good for you.
Mm-hmm. For me, it's when I'm under the shower, I stamp my feet and pretend it's the vacuum cleaner cord coming back in. So all the energy that's gone out to customers, to people that I've bumped into, all of that sort of stuff. So all my energy's gone out, and me stamping my foot and thinking of the vacuum cleaner cord coming back in is how I do it for me, because like I said to you before, I'm quite a visual person, so I need to see that happening for all the people that I've connected with during the day. But everybody does it differently. It could just be sitting having a quiet cup of tea and writing in a journal about your day. There's lots of ways in which to do it, or to put a diffuser on with essential oils. There's hundreds of thousands of ways for people to do things to clear their energy. But it's an interesting concept because not everybody does it. And then they wonder why they go to bed feeling funky. They wonder why they wake up in the morning feeling funky, because they've slept with other people's energy surrounding them. So that's why sometimes you wake up feeling like an experienced person and struggling to get out of bed in the morning.
Yeah, and I also feel like it's easier in the morning. It's easier and it resonates more to do it in the morning as well, to like set yourself for the day. And I feel so much better when I And in the evening, you're just kind of like, oh yeah, my day's finished. I just go to bed. Yeah, okay. And even like now, I'm at my mum's and the TV's on. I need to be aware of. I can really see a program and just be so engaged with every person on that program, like it's almost myself. I'm like, they're just there.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, definitely need to bring yourself back to yourself.
Yeah. And do you have any other favorite practices? Like, are you a avid journaler? Obviously, you've written a few books from what Dava has told me. So when you've written the books, has it been about a certain topic, or has it been whatever you've been called to write?
It's more, the books have just been similar to what we're sharing today. So one of them was, like how coming into the world, certain a shift, and then living more consciously and being supported and having some what you would call miracles happening, like just unforeseen things just turning up, and then, where I am at now. couple of them were about COVID times. So just, moving through the pandemic in a conscious way and relating to the blessings that are still there, no matter what's happening in our world and all that. I've definitely used journaling as a tool at times, and I highly recommend it, no matter what time. I mean, I could do it now easily and see the benefit of it. I did have one time when I was doing it regularly. There was a couple of questions I had. I can't remember what they were, but I went to a psychic. I had a good psychic friend that I really trusted, and had a session with her and asked her these questions and whatever come up in the reading. And then about a week later, I was just going through my journals, just reflecting. And, journaling's just writing, just allowing things to flow, even going, I don't have anything to write. I don't have anything to write. I don't know why I'm writing. I don't know what I'm doing, and then just allow whatever to happen. And I went back to my journals, and my 2 questions were answered in my journaling.
And is it interesting, though, that you can't see it until you have an opportunity to step up and out and then go back and reflect? It's like, for the most part of all of the things that we go through in our life, where you describe them as blessings, and most people would see it as challenges or hardships, for the 3 of us, I would say that we would tend to look at those things like, okay, I'm leveling up. I'm moving to the next frequency. I've got some work to do. So then, therefore, there are things that I need to move through. But most people would look at it as, this is happening to me, and, having a woe is me attitude. And I must admit, for probably the first 20 years of my life, I was much like that, until you start to have these little moments throughout your life where you start to go, oh, hang on a minute. But I think it was more so becoming a parent and moving through relationship challenges that then you start to have these, like you say, teachers show up. I had girlfriends show up. I learned how to meditate and got introduced to essential oils and journaling and vision boarding and a whole host of other things that I went, not really sure I like the way that my life is turning out at the moment. How do I go about changing that? And what is it? What can it look like moving forward? And in your journaling, has your life turned out the way in which you've designed it, or do you feel that you've been moved in different ways rather than what you expected?
For me, the biggest asset and support I can give myself is to surrender. Really, that's what it's about, is just to surrender to full high service for the greater good of all. And for me, it's very strongly with the earth, working with the crystalline inner earth and the waters of earth, and also the land, but also, of course, connecting with people is a big part of that as well. One thing I just want to go back a little bit. At the start of my journey, there was one word that I changed, which was huge, and that was life is happening to me, so life is happening for me. Just one word. And if you can find that in yourself, then you're well on your way, because it just brings in a whole different perspective and a way of relating to everything in your life, yourself, your family, the people around you, your experiences, everything. I feel, and it is created by me or through me, through my soul expression, by listening and trusting and flowing and surrendering. And then there's moments where it's important for me to initiate more, to actually put something there. I find if you just go, I just fully surrender, then you could just say, well, it's already sorted and I don't have to do anything. And I don't feel you're really going to be fulfilling your purpose in that way. So it's about, again, for me, just asking those questions. Like some years ago, I was in a beautiful place and I felt like something was, let's say, missing. I don't really believe in missing anything, but there was something that wasn't in my life that could be that could feel the energy of, but I didn't really know what it was. So I just said, okay, what do I need for my conscious evolution? And within 1 or 2 days, on Facebook, a yoga retreat came in, and I kind of had a feeling about, oh, maybe I'm going to immerse myself in yoga for the first time. And then they were offering a scholarship, and you had to write a 1,000-word reason why they would choose you or something. And I sent that in on the very last day because I saw it about 3 days before it finished. And I wasn't friends with it. Like, it's a classic how it just turns up on your feed, like I've never seen them ever on my feed. And so I applied, and then I got that scholarship, and then I was like, wow, that's so cool. Thank you, thank you. And then I was like, wow, actually, it only gives me a wee moment of being there, like how can I immerse myself? And then I liked their page and shared that on Facebook in gratitude of getting the scholarship and what have you. And then they advertised a job needing a coordinator in the kitchen, and I was like, well, I can cook, but I don't really feel that's me to be there in a retreat centre cooking for maybe 40 people. But I looked on their website, and they're looking for a maintenance coordinator and a gardens coordinator. And I'm like, well, yeah, I have those skills. So that's what I ended up doing. And while I was there, I just said yes. I just knew it was for my conscious evolution. So I was in a small room in the community house. I was called upon all day long from before I even got up to when I was in bed, and after a while I had, I don't know, a list of 50 or more things to do on the place because it was a bit run down, even though it was fully operational. And some days I would do 7, 8 jobs, and none of them were on my list. My name would be called a dozen times or more by a dozen different people, and I was counseling people. I was doing everything, but it was just like, this is what's for my conscious evolution. So I just surrendered, and I felt fine. I was very stable, very flowing with it all. And at some point, I was given my own space, and I could share my responsibilities to other people, and so I was like totally looked after in that way as well by just saying yes to my conscious evolution, whatever that was.
But it's interesting in discovering that balance, I think, between the masculine and the feminine energies. Like you say, being in that space where you're surrendering, but at the same time taking that strategic, measured action in going, okay, well, this is great, but I need a little bit more. How can I find that little bit more? And you did in that situation. So like you said, then the energy's balanced and you're moving forward without feeling like serving 40 plus people that, you feel like a worn out dish rag at the end of the day. You felt energized and excited about what was coming the next day and the next day and the next day. So, and the scholarship turned out well?
Yeah, no, it was cool. Yeah. I just was able to use it for some classes and an event that came. Someone offered a sound healing, so I was able to use that money towards doing that course. And and they were supportive of me having the time to do it as well. So it's beautiful. I mean, and that's where I was when lockdown happened, and it was a crazy time once that happened. Like, people talk about solitude through lockdown. I'm like, I missed out. I really would have liked that, actually. I thought that I would have loved to just gone inward and not have any connection with anyone for that time. But I was living with, I think, about 22 people, and some didn't want to live there, didn't want to do anything, and you still had to, and and then people trying to get back to Europe and getting a ticket, and then it cancelled, and then again and again and again, and all the emotions around that, and and going to town and buying the groceries, and the supermarket saying, no, you can only have one of those and three, and I'm like, I'm buying for 20 people, and people staring at you because your grocery trolley's full, So such a funny time.
Yeah, it was a little bit crazy, wasn't it? Like, it was an interesting reflection on humanity and like you say, people's conscious evolution. I met a woman a couple of days ago, and she is still suffering PTSD. She lived in Melbourne during the whole period of lockdown in a one-bedroom flat by herself, and now she struggles with going out into public spaces with a lot of people. She said she's only just sort of started, like in the last couple of months, venturing out a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more, and finds it and gets overwhelmed really, really quickly, and then has to retreat back again. So, it'll be interesting to see the play out for humanity over the next sort of 10 or 15 years as to what happens in the mental health space, and, how our children move through the world, because they were they're probably the ones that will be affected equally as much, in how their social interaction is always very interesting. I find, teenagers, technology and lockdown, you kind of put it all in together. So yes, I will be a fascinated observer of my children moving forward, to see where it comes from. So where are you at, Mr. Daver?
Well, it was beautiful what Jacob has been sharing, like about because I'm reading the book, the latest book by Sarah Landon and Mike Dooley. So Mike Dooley interviewed Sarah Landon when she's channeling the Council of Light, and it's aligned totally with what Jacob was saying, about the frequency, about the field, about you being the creator of your own creation. That is your reality and your life. And also, like, life is happening for you. Like, if you keep saying that, like an affirmation, then you will start seeing your circumstances or whatever is happening in your life in a different light. And also, like, because I know, like, Jacob shared some of his, like, experiences with me, and I feel like he's like, and I told him that last time, like, he has so many stories. Like, it feels like the chapter, like the book is never ending. It's like one of those people like that had so many experiences. But like for the last few minutes, I would like to invite Jacob, if that's okay with Tina, like, like if he has to channel any message, like in the form of light language, maybe no one has ever heard that, or if you never did, that will be a beautiful experience, I feel, to share, if you're okay with that, Jacob. And if you have a message for the audience, for the collective, or about the word surrender, because this has been coming up like so much. And Tina is like saying hi to me right now. If you're not seeing the video, don't worry. She's loving it, the word surrender. So are you okay with that, Jacob, like to share that wisdom, that gift with us?
Yeah, certainly. To bring some light language through at any time is a blessing for me as well, and to share it. And it's just about feeling, the mind can't comprehend what it is. So, for the listeners to just surrender and just feel, like, drop into your heart space, and whatever's there for you will be received, and it's not harmful or anything. It's not going to mess you up or send you into a crazy space or anything. It's interesting what you said about the circumstances. Kyle Cease, I followed him for a while. He's a Canadian comedian turned transformational coach, and he says there's no circumstance bigger than who you truly are, and it's a beautiful way to relate to it. And it doesn't, when we're looking at these things, it doesn't mean you're condoning someone else's actions or what they're presenting, or you're naive or ignorant to them either. It's just a different way of relating. So it's just finding out where we are on our path and what emotions or responses, reactions are happening within us, and then inquiring those. And I always see everything as its own entity. So let's say I feel anxiety. I'm feeling anxiety. So I feel into anxiety, and then I ask, what does anxiety feel like? Okay. And I feel into that. What does anxiety feel like? Oh yeah, I'm feeling scared. Okay, I'm feeling scared. Okay, so what does feeling scared feel like? And then maybe, oh, I feel threatened. Okay, so the anxieties happen because I feel scared from being threatened. And then, okay, so what does feeling threatened feel like? And maybe nothing presents itself. So then I can go into, okay, so when was I first threatened in my life? And it's just like going through the layers and coming into that core issue that created that. And then, you can do these on your own, but it's also good to have someone support you. So it just depends on where you are on your journey. But these are just simple things, but they're super profound, and that's what I find with now. A lot of these things that we inquire about, they can just move just by the inquiry themselves. You actually don't have to do anything. It's just to acknowledge that they're there. And yeah, another thing I shared with Wendy as well, is like moving through my journey is whatever's happening for me, this is the truest expression of myself in this moment, I would say. So not to make anything wrong or right or better or worse, just I'm feeling happy, so I'm not so much better than when I was feeling angry. It's just like, no, they're just all expressions and they're there for a purpose, and they're part of the whole. Um, and that's also part of that whole unity consciousness. We are all connected and we are so fairly. So it is to find a way where you do know how to connect with your own energy and take care of yourself. And while you also share that on the journey of finding things where you go, oh, actually, that's not such a nice thing I was doing, to just not give yourself a hard time when you realize that, to just recognize that, because we have all these coping mechanisms and they don't always look so pretty, but they're just how we manage the energies. And sometimes they're not even our energies that we're trying to manage within ourselves. So there's no point in giving yourself a hard time or, seeing the wrongness of it, just to recognize that it's there and you can do something different. And from that place of the heart of love, it'll shift and you'll feel better within yourself for that. So yeah, that's what I just felt to share. Okay, some light language. So I just ask what is for the highest of everyone who's here now listening and will hear this when they watch the replay. Ushanania humakatia tu niha hudiarara moshanakitia hinana tuturia shatnamutuna ayatia kiano hunumu hushatiara hina hanatiara ro shamatatia nakatu Puriatia tutura mashanata hitake hemata humutiera shinya kutuma Hatiara tu no shiatatia no shatiana hushanatia tu no shatia. Hininina kututudena mashia kitiriana no kututunia mahaya. Heyanana katia no ya shakatina katia mati heyo. Sha. Shh. Atatatatata.
Well, thank you for sharing that. And like you can come back to this reality now. That was very powerful. My divine brother, right? Like that's how we met. Like Tina, by the way, is still coming back, so we will take some time with her.
Sorry, I just went.
This was like just a glimpse of the light language because it's all about the feeling. That's when you take your ego out and you just feel it. So for anyone who listen, who might be like, I don't know, if by mistake or by not mistake, there's no mistake. So it happened that you listen to that part and you're like, what's happening there? Well, I will invite you to just close your eyes and go in your heart space and just connect. Whatever is coming up, just connect with that and invite whatever you call in, the divine spirit, consciousness, God, however you want to call it. Just invite and just let it, the message that's meant for you through what Jacob has shared, just let it sink in. Just surrender. Thank you so much.
Surrender.
I think Tina is back now.
Yeah.
In
Yes.
3D. Yeah, so she's back in
I
the
think so.
3D.
Yeah. That was interesting. I
Yeah.
transported to a whole host of people and felt like church to me. Well, like that concept of
Yes,
someone
like divine place.
orating, yes, to a group
Mm.
of people. That's, yeah, like the front row, like puppy dog, yes, give me more.
I
And I'm
think like
back to
Jacob,
being my human.
I think like Jacob can share more about that, like based on what Tina shared. Like, do you have any insight that's coming through, or like you want to share?
At this moment, the insight I would share is to just allow it to speak to you. I'm not going to give it any labels or names or anything. It's divine and love, and with light language and the drawings that come through me as well. I often don't put a lot of words with them because they speak to everyone differently, and some are for certain reasons, and I do like personalized ones, so they're specifically for that person, of course. But with these generalized ones, these collective ones,
Oh,
yeah, it just speaks to different people. And I find some people say, "Oh, wow, that was amazing. It's just what I needed. It was this, and this." And someone else will say, "It was that, and that, and it's just what I needed, and it was perfect." So, it does speak to us on a really deep level that's beyond our comprehension, and sometimes it's good to just not have any words with it, to just feel. And because, yeah, for me, it is about feeling.
nice. And it happened like a couple of times. The moment we invite you to speak light language, your Zoom, like it was like there was an issue with the connection. It was like going slow. It seems like you were not speaking. Yeah, it seems like you just froze and it's like I could just hear your voice, like,
Oh,
yeah. So the energy change, even in the Zoom, like I could feel it and I could see it. Yeah. So
yeah.
next time we'll be careful about mentioning that word. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah. That shows like the high level, like of energies when they come through. Like sometimes our, internet connection can't handle it. Like it's too much, like it's too high. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. But thank you so much for sharing your wisdom. And obviously, you're most welcome to come back if you have any message for the collective or you want to share. Because I know we didn't speak about your conscious art as well, which I had the privilege to see. I know you do have a Facebook page as well that you can talk about, so that people can just follow you on social media. So please do. Please go ahead. You can share where they can follow you. Not in
Okay,
nature. I
cool.
know in nature they will see you.
Yeah, for sure, always.
Yeah.
Yeah, my codes are mostly on Facebook, and that's Diamond Heart Frequency. That's where most of my channel, conscious art is. And also you can just follow me personally if you wish to, Jacob Dodds, on Facebook, because I do a lot of, everything. I just allow whatever wants to come through, and I'm often just on that page. I do have a YouTube channel, which is, yeah, not quite active at the moment. That's the same name, Diamond Heart Frequency. My website will be that name, but it's in the process of getting rebuilt at the moment, so it's not active. LinkedIn, I'm also on there, but not as active. So they are
Yeah.
places, you can find me. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
No, definitely we'll share your details on, like when we post for this episode, and we'll share where people can follow you and can see because you did channel, I think, like a couple of weeks for the full moon, right? Not the full moon, sorry, new moon.
It,
You did.
yeah, the equinox, which
Yeah,
it
the
was
equinox.
actually.
Yeah. And I hope you did one for
Mm.
the full moon as well. And lunar eclipse as well.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure there will be.
Yeah.
And thank you for coming on board. Like, if Tina has any last word, I feel like she's still coming back to the 3D.
Yeah,
That's
Jacob's art's
rare.
amazing. So it is rare for me to be quiet. Jacob's art is amazing. Check it out.
Yeah.
And as we do every week, we love you. Thank you so much for joining us on the couch, and go forth and ask, how can I do things to serve my higher purpose? So until then, thank you so much for joining us, Jacob. It was a pleasure to have you. And we look forward to having you all join us next week.
Yeah, and definitely next week we'll be reflecting on this episode. I'm pretty sure we have a lot to say.
Oh my God.
And I'm sure Tina will have a full hour about her reflection. She will be journaling about it and sharing. So thank you so much, Jacob. I'm really honored. Like, we are both honored, like, to have you on our virtual couch. I feel very grateful that we met, and really grateful to Wendy Corner for the introduction. And, like, if you want to promote anything, anytime you want to come back and share more wisdom, please do. Please let us know.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. I feel very blessed and honored to be on your show and connect with you guys, and of course you personally, brother. And it's always nice to meet a divine brother and person, even more so, because we're not everywhere. So it's a real blessing. And Tina as well, thank you for what you guys, the space that you open here and create for others to be able to tap into. So thank you, and definitely I'll be more than happy to come back and share what wishes to come through at any time. That would be awesome.
Fabulous.
So we Pearl of Wisdom, let's just grab our first surfboard and ride the wave of consciousness.
Wow. Okay. Thank you for that.
Thank you so much.
We'll see you.
Ciao.